Hey, Rick Sayes here. Welcome to another episode of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, where I hope to provide entertaining conversations with retailers, brand managers, athletes, executives, and others in the outdoor biz to get their stories, tips, strategies, productivity tricks, and ideas that you can apply and take your career or business to the next level. The episode that you're about to listen to is with Andy Palmer. Andy and his wife Lori are founders of the Adventure Portal, a terrific resource for everything related to vehicle-assisted adventure, information, and news in the U.S.A. In this conversation, we talk about his career experience, how he came up with the idea for the Adventure Portal, and how vehicle-assisted adventure crosses over to the outdoor biz. Enjoy! Hey guys, Rick Sayes here with another episode of the Outdoor Biz Podcast. Today we're speaking with Andy Palmer. Andy and his wife Lori are the founders of the Adventure Portal. Welcome to the show, Andy.
Thanks very much for having me.
So we're sitting here at the Bristlecone Grandview Campground. Going to try to do some astrophotography. Got kind of clouded out last night. We're under a tarp, hoping we don't get wet.
Hopefully it doesn't rain. And thunder going on in the background.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
If you hear a little pattering of rain, it's because a storm broke.
Exactly. Or we'll comment, oh, we got to bail. So tell our audience about the Adventure Portal. What are you guys all about?
Well, the Adventure Portal's been, it's probably 3 years in the making and 2 years old. So I would consider that to still be in its infancy from a business point of view. It started as almost a joke. I was sitting around a campfire with a friend in Anza-Borrego, in a little place called Blair Valley. Uh-huh. Blair Valley feels like it's in the middle of nowhere, so it's got this wilderness feel. It's actually about maybe a quarter of a mile from a road, but you never hear the traffic. So,
yeah, isn't there a waterfall there? I feel like
there's somewhere somewhere
yeah.
around there. Yeah. So this was something that was probably 5 or 6 years ago, and sitting around, just getting away from work and everything else in life, and drinking a beer around the campfire, and I looked at my friend and I was like, so, you know what? How do we make a living out of camping? And it was a joke, we toasted
let's do it,
a whiskey to it or whatever. And then, when I got back, I started to really think it through and go, okay, I've been working in the action sports, outdoor, lifestyle industries, mountain bike industries for years. So I've been around this for a long time.
And you were a sales guy in various brands?
Well, Animal was my first brand. 2 partners in that. One of the shareholders of Animal, and I came over in '95 from the UK to set up the subsidiary Animal U.S.A. Uh-huh. It was a watch company. It was actually much bigger than that in the UK. It was, you could look at it and it was a Quicksilver realistically. We were head to toe.
Wow.
We did snowboarding outerwear through to bikinis to sunglasses.
A lot of stuff.
But we launched in Velcro watch straps. And that was the crazy thing I told my father I was going to do when I graduated. And he looked at me and was like, I am so sorry I wasted all this time and effort on you.
Exactly.
But over here it was, we didn't bring the clothing line over here, whereas we just didn't have the financing to do it. Uh-huh. So it was a self-financing business. And actually, back in the day when you could actually have a handshake with a bank manager and have a $2 million overdraft unsecured, but I think that day's gone.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
So, that's what brought me over here. That was in '95, and then we sold the business in '99. We sold all global rights to it.
Wow,
and,
interesting.
So that was a fun ride. It was a weird time to sell it because I was probably 33 years old, and you come out with a little bit of money and you go, I'm going to retire, and then you realize that you're not going to retire because you need an awful lot more money. Long way to go.
Long way to go.
30s upwards. So.
Yeah.
So, and then, from that, I worked at VP of Sales at Dragon Optical, did that for 4 years. And then I was general manager at Clive, which was a subsidiary of Eagle Creek. You should know that, Rick. Yep.
I was there when Clive got started.
Yeah. So I did that for a couple of years, and then I launched another brand 1 year before the recession hit.
Oh.
And that was one of those, we grew it rapidly. We got it to $1.8 million in 18 months.
Wow.
So from a sales point of view, it was fantastic. Yeah. And then recession hit, and nobody would even answer the phone call.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So
now what do we do?
No, it just crashed. The business just went away. I mean, it folded almost.
Did it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there was no way to...
And you were there? You went through all that?
I went through that. It was an experience. Yeah. So a learning curve.
Yeah,
and lost a fair amount of money there. So that was made money with Animal and lost money with Fortress. So it's just
how many times have we all been through that in this business?
Part of business, part of being an entrepreneur. Really.
Yeah, exactly. And so you did a couple of other brands.
Yeah, I went to work for directly after we folded Fortress. I went to work for Ocean Minded, which was a subsidiary of Crocs. Mm-hmm. Stayed there 4 years and tried to grow that little tiny subsidiary under $1 billion umbrella, which was an interesting experience. And then after that, I became CEO of Crank Brothers for 3 years. That was
bicycling biz,
yeah. That was my first time in the mountain bike industry, or in the bike industry. We'd been on with Animal. We had sponsored world champ. We had the Common Soul Animal team, and we were very well known within mountain biking, but we never did anything that was particularly relevant to mountain biking. It was just a very lifestyle clothing brand around mountain biking.
Pretty successful, though. I mean,
yeah, it was. Yeah. And we had a fantastic team. We had 3 world champions on our team.
Wow. Yeah.
So in the UK, from the mountain bike consumer, we were considered to be a mountain bike brand, although we never really saw ourselves as that.
Right.
We were very wide. It was at the time in the UK, you could be lots of different styles or you could market to lots of different segments of the market.
That seems like the European model too. A lot of those brands go really wide.
And to be honest, that's one of the mistakes we made when we came over to the US and opened up Animal U.S.A. Was that we didn't know. We were a square peg in a round hole. Yeah. We came over here and thought that model would work, and definitely bumped into.
Whoops.
Yeah. Okay. That's not as easy as we thought it was.
Right. Interesting.
That was I actually don't really believe I understood the American market until I went and worked for 4 years for Dragon, and then I feel I really. I was in my own fishbowl and believing my own crap with Animal, and then it was very interesting to work for somebody else who was a very hardcore action sports brand and really understand the differences in markets.
So you have a lot of consumer brand experience, both U.S. and UK.
And
then somewhere along the line you decided, how do I get out of
How do I get out of all this? Yeah.
And do camping.
And then really the Adventure Portal was born out of that thought process. And, we'd raised our child just camping as a family. Yeah. And we'd always really done primitive. We didn't want to go into campsites. Yeah. So we'd always done this primitive thing.
So was that your first exposure to the outdoors, was camping with your family as a kid?
Yeah, I suppose it was. Yeah.
Was that your first traditional outdoor activity, if you will?
Yeah.
Camping?
Yeah.
Did you guys mountain bike or ski or hike?
As a family, we were much more into water sports, to be honest. Sailing and windsurfing and surfing. And so I say I was born of the water, but I've come inland.
Interesting.
But what is very interesting, I saw my mum and dad really do the same thing that we're doing. They were camping on the water in their boat.
Right. Yeah.
But it's really exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing for me about the outdoor industry is we, for years, the outdoor industry started around climbing and mountaineering and all these, whitewater rafting, but we really do all these things. The mode of transport is completely different. Whether you're car camping in a sailboat, friends of ours, Jim and Katie Thomsen just got done sailing their boat Tenaya around the world for years, and they're perfectly prepared for traveling in small spaces. And,
that's honestly what my parents educated me in that thought process, and it really transfers exactly into a vehicle. I mean, it's identical, to be honest. It's just got 4 wheels instead of...
You can carry heavier stuff.
Yeah, yes.
It's like rafting. It's called rubber buses. Yeah. You can carry all the stuff
Absolutely.
You want. Yeah. Interesting.
So, the Adventure Portal is, I think it's diverse in its mindset. People like to call it overlanding. I'm not fond of that term, to be honest. I think it pigeonholes it. You know, I think it's...
No, I'm not familiar with that term. How does it pigeonhole it?
Well, overlanding to me is... a lot of people define it as crossing international borders, or your vehicle, your rig, crossing an international border.
Oh, so you're taking everything to somewhere else.
Yes.
Interesting.
Or it's, you know, putting your vehicle in a container and shipping it off to another continent and being very self-sufficient on a journey with your vehicle. And, you know, that's a very relevant part of the marketplace, but I don't see that's what we do. What we're doing, you know, to me, is adventure camping. You know, it's backcountry. We're staying on trails. We're not forging our own trail. Right. You know, the Mojave Road is a good example. 120, 130 miles across the Mojave Desert, from Needles to the I-15.
Oh, cool. But it's a dirt road.
It's a dirt road. Yeah. And you camp primitively all the way along the way, and you go and look at ancient historical, you know, where the cavalry had their forts. You go down into lava tubes. So I always coin it as vehicle-supported adventure. So is the vehicle important to the adventure? Sure it is. Is it the adventure itself? To some people.
And the vehicle, like we talked about earlier, the vehicle is different for different people.
Absolutely.
Some people it's a raft, some people it's a bike. Interesting.
And there's so many subsections of what we're doing. You know.
You guys you cross over into a lot of different industries. I mean, it's actual outdoor with camping. You know, it's the vehicle adventure. Camping, like you were talking about. It's adventure travel.
Absolutely, it is.
You know,
You know, I like to. You know, is it going down to Baja and going SUPing or surfing, camping on the beach? Is it driving in the Sierra up to an alpine lake and going fishing? Is it taking your mountain bike to a place that you drive in and then you mountain bike on trails which don't have a lot of people on them? You know, it's all of the above. And is it camping itself? Yes. There's a joy in the camping. So there's nothing better than sitting around a campfire, in my opinion.
Exactly. No, I agree with you. I'd rather do everything outside. And so you're more of a portal, a place to get information on how to do this, as opposed to, you're not taking people camping yet.
We're not taking people camping. We get asked...
But you make money camping. That was your original dream.
Yes. You know, it's a lot of people say it's inspiring others to do this. You know, I think that's a well-used term. It's a cliched term, to be honest. Are we doing it? I hope so. But what we look at, there's 4 tenets. We do gear reviews, like a lot of other people, of course. We do trail reports, which are just a free... we facilitate the ability, if somebody wants to go to the Sierra, you can go on our site and you can download a lot of information for free that tells you what trails to go on from a vehicle.
So map and directions and things?
Yes.
Wow.
And we give our opinion of, you know, from a 1 to a 10, which obviously this changes regularly because of weather and washouts and all the rest of it. But, so that's that. And one thing that we do a lot of, which I really enjoy, is the first-person story of the adventure. I really enjoy writing that myself.
So you guys go out and do the trip and write the adventure. Do you have any guest writers as well?
Yes, we do. We have probably 5 or 6 contributing authors from the East Coast through to the West Coast.
Cool. So you cover the whole U.S.?
We've tried to do that. I mean,
only U.S.-centric?
Only U.S., yes. A lot of what we do is obviously southwest of the country because that's where we live. And a lot of people from the east are looking into the iconic southwest. But we've been critiqued, I wouldn't say criticized, but we've been critiqued from the point of view of, can you do more across the whole of the country? Well, we can't, because we can't get there. So we've started using contributors because of that. And,
so what percentage of your information do you think is trip finding like that versus gear reviews versus...
You know, there's a lot of gear reviews because frankly, it's easy to get content on gear reviews. There's a lot of energy and a lot of time goes into planning a trip. And you can only...
Everybody always wants to know about gear too. I mean,
they do.
You know.
And do we compete with everybody else that's doing gear reviews? Sure we do.
But you guys seem to focus on different types of gear. I've been on your site and I've looked at some of your gear, and it's not the traditional outdoor industry gear. Even though that, you know, I camp with MSR stoves and...
Well, I think a good example of something that wouldn't be traditional, that no outdoor person would necessarily think of buying, but it might be a very good idea to buy, is something called Max Tracks. No, they are sand ladders or snow ladders, and you can get your vehicle unstuck without a winch. If you have a shovel on those, you can go along trails. Let's just take Anza Borrego or somewhere where there's deep sand. Well, Mojave Road's a good example of that. There's deep sand that you might get stuck in. But you could take a Subaru on that trail, but you might get stuck because of the sand. Well, a Max Track will get you out. Yeah. And it's something that I would always tell people to. I've had friends in Sprinter vans who, they're like, well, where do I go in Death Valley? And I'm like, okay, these are the trails that you go, and they're relatively easy trails. But you've got a 4x4 Sprinter, which is reasonably capable on relatively light trails. Yeah. But a Max Track is something I always recommend, or a sand ladder is something to take that would never come across the outdoor industry at all.
Yeah, wouldn't think of it.
And a shovel. No, a shovel saved my life in the Sierra once.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of the gear that you recommend from that perspective is around the vehicle maintenance, safety, keeping yourself from getting stuck out there. We just drove to the Patriot Grove earlier this morning and saw a truck on the side of the road with a flat tire and came back, and there was a tow truck there. That's going to be an expensive tow for those guys.
That's probably $1,000.
At least.
At least.
Yeah. If they'd had a flat and knew how to use, or a spare and knew how to use it.
Yeah. And so from our point of view, training is, we do a lot of articles on training. And training to get yourself out of difficulty with your vehicle. A lot of people will buy a winch, they'll buy a high lift, they'll have this equipment, and they don't know how to use it. It looks fantastic on and it looks insane.
Yeah, and a lot of people buy this equipment and think it makes them bulletproof.
Yes,
and it actually does the opposite.
It does the opposite. Yeah. So training is very important. We don't tend to write the training articles. We always bring in qualified trainers to do that. I think we're highly competent, but we're not certified trainers, so I'm not comfortable writing those training articles. We always bring in experts to do that.
So that's a whole nother level of interaction that you guys provide with people who train you how to drive your 4x4. We talked about earlier about rock crawling and all these things. Yeah, interesting.
Well, that's one of the interesting. What are we? Are we rock crawlers? Are we overlanders? Are we? What are we doing? And that's one of
car campers.
Car campers. Yeah. There's a lot of opinion out there. Yeah. And everyone seems to have an opinion to voice.
Sure. Yeah. Yep, there's a saying about everyone's opinion. I'm not going to mention it here.
Yeah,
but
I wasn't going to say it either. I nearly said it, and I was like, well, no, I probably shouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. So you've been going 2 or 3 years.
A couple of years.
Yep. And it's now generated revenue.
Yep.
And where do you see it going in the next couple of years?
I think we're at the stage.
Let's back up a little bit. How has it evolved from when you launched to where you are today?
I think it's followed the path we wanted to take it. Personally, if I was to critique myself, or Laurie and myself, I think we've gone probably a little bit too much into the 4x4 side of things. So what we would like to do is, in the coming months, probably shift or push our focus out to a wider audience.
Make it a little more mainstream.
A little bit more mainstream. Obviously, the bigger market.
Yeah.
Get to a lot more people. I think we've built it to a level that we're ready for opportunity, and there's lots of ideas around it. What path and what road we go down, no pun intended, we've got to see. I think.
And how do you guys, do you sit down and talk about that and do some strategic planning?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I would say you write a business plan, and then you rewrite it almost every quarter.
Right.
So business plans are they're a guide. They're certainly not. If you stick to them 100%, then you make a mistake.
You get in trouble. And how has the industry evolved in the 2 years that you've run the Adventure Portal?
I'm seeing it becoming
more mainstream.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely is. We talked about it earlier on, or yesterday, that one of the things that hit me 6 months ago was the mainstream iconic REI out there sends out their catalogs once every quarter, once every 6 months. Right. And the one that came out in November didn't have anybody backpacking, and it was shot in Joshua Tree. Yeah. And it was a bunch of kids with their Tacoma, four-wheel drive Tacoma going climbing.
All car camping.
All car camping.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. So this is happening. Van life, the hashtag van life's been around forever. And
that's been, that goes way back. People were doing that in the 60s. So that's nothing new, really. But,
all you got to do is go to outdoor retail and look in the parking lot.
Exactly.
And there's 1,000 rigs just like mine.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's interesting that we all, even if we're going to go adventure in the backcountry, there's a car camping component to it, right? You got to get to the trailhead. Generally, you've driven. Yeah. I'm lucky. I live in Bishop. I drive an hour to the trailhead. I go in. But a lot of these trips we've been on, it's a 6 to 8 to couple day drive. Yeah. So there's car camping involved. Then you get to where you're going. You switch to the backcountry. Yeah. Skiing, hiking, climbing, whatever it is. You come out. There's more car camping.
Yeah. And I think that's probably one of a lot of people. Hardcore backpackers or might look at what our rigs and we're the people that trash the planet, but I really want to make it clear that there's lots of levels here. Yeah, we stay on trail. Yeah. We are a sponsor of Tread Lightly principles. Yeah. We follow those. We promote those. Yeah. Those are very important. Are our rigs very capable? Sure, they are. Yeah. Do we occasionally do rock crawling in the Jeep? Sure, but it's not a big component of who we are. Yeah. And that's one of the issues, I don't know if it's an issue, but it's one of the interesting things that's happening is that this little word, overlanding, vehicle sport of adventure, whatever we want to call it, is in the middle of this massive industry called 4x4, and then this massive industry called outdoors. Right. And you go to SEMA, for instance.
And
SEMA is the I'm not sure what it actually stands for, but it's the automotive.
I'll look that up. Put in the show notes. Yeah.
It's the automotive show in Vegas in November. Okay. And you see this very traditional automotive industry not quite knowing what to do with overlanding because. I'll give you an example.
It's like the ski show years ago.
It is exactly the same as that. People will come up to us. We go out occasionally with the San Diego Jeep Club, and we'll go on some trails with them. And they look at us and they go, "What's that thing on the side of your Jeep?" And we go, "It's an awning." A what? You go camping? Yeah. What the hell's that? But that's the core of the original part of the industry. So I don't see us as rock crawlers. I see us as adventure campers.
Well, it's like any industry. There's people that go climbing and deface the rock. There's people that go backcountry skiing and cut the trails. Absolutely. and backpacking and cut the trails. And there's those elements in every business. Yeah.
But the industry itself, I feel, is so early at the moment is that the outdoor industry doesn't quite know what to do with it. Yeah. Because it's going against the traditions of outdoor starts at the trailhead. Yeah.
And I think you guys have a pretty aggressive look to what you do. So I think that puts an idea in people's mind.
I would agree with that.
Or somehow, how do you overcome that?
Yep.
I think the backpacking industry suffered from that over the years too, where it became when you're out climbing and hiking and doing things, you get dirty, you get tired, you look haggard, you look like a dirtbag. Yeah. Even though you may have a $600,000 a year attorney job in LA, absolutely. Right now you look like a dirtbag.
Yep. Very true.
So there's a lot of people that get these ideas in their heads. Yeah,
that's human nature as well.
Yeah, exactly. We do what we do. Yeah.
But I'm definitely seeing. If you look at articles in Outside Magazine, you look at Sunset Magazine, you look at all these different mainstream publications.
You look at all the ads in Sierra Magazine.
It's all about either using a Sprinter van or Tacoma or whatever it is.
And these new lightweight trailers are coming out.
Fantastic,
phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That is something that is undiscovered at the moment, and I think that's going to grow rapidly.
I think it's a pretty cool time too to be in the outdoors and be a camper because when we all got started, it was cast iron pots and Norman Clyde here in the Sierras carried his pack must have weighed 200 pounds, and now everything's becoming lighter weight, whether it's plastic or aluminum or titanium. You can do things, have more fun. Same thing with the vehicle stuff. That trailer you brought is
amazing. Yeah. I'll give a shout out to Turtleback Trailers.
Yeah, awesome. We'll put a link in the show notes for that, definitely. So what opportunities do you see the adventure car camping, for lack of a better term, industry meshing with outdoor? How do you see that continuing to blend as we move forward?
I do.
It seems like that.
I do.
Because a few of those brands that are at OR now.
Yes.
You know, the Winnebago guys with their...
There are. I mean, I think one of the big things I saw last year was Yakima bringing out a rooftop tent.
Yeah,
which now sits in REI, and that was... And I know Tepui are one of the core Overlanders brands is now in REI. Yeah. And that's happening. Is it happening slowly? Sure it is.
Yeah.
But I think it's happening, and I think it's going to get, we're going to see more and more of it. Yeah. I truly do think that.
I agree. I think that we talked a little bit about this last night. I think the definition of outdoor for the outdoor industry is broadening. Significantly. Yeah, which I think is a good thing.
I do as well. Yeah.
What opportunities do you see for people wanting to get started in that industry today? Is it pretty growing? Is it a little, like all the businesses right now, they're a little soft?
It's interesting. We've just had Overland Expo.
Right.
It's the consumer show. It's the hub of the industry, and it's been
it's consumer and
it's not trade. No, it's a consumer show.
Oh, okay.
And it's in Flagstaff once a year in May.
Yeah.
And this year, change of venue, much bigger venue. There was so much high energy. It reminded me of the early snowboard days, or there were so many people that had great ideas that were the whole place was flooded with entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it was fantastic. There was crowdfunding everywhere. It was, and there was hundreds of millions of dollars.
And consumers from around the U.S.?
Oh, my God, yeah. It was international.
Oh, international.
Yeah, there was people living in their vehicles who, these big Unimogs, Germans and Austrians and Swiss.
Oh, that'd be cool.
It's an amazing event, and it was very clear that the industry was becoming much more of age. It was a little mom and pop thing. One thing that I do think is interesting is at the moment it's so small that it's almost all direct to consumer. There's very little distribution model.
Yeah. And where it's kind of mixed too, because where do you, like I'm looking at a trailer myself these days, and it's almost like going to a used car lot.
Yes.
So you go to the car lot obviously to buy your Jeep or your Tacoma, but where do you go to buy your trailer? And it's kind of the same thing.
That's the big problem. Yeah. It really is.
And it's kind of a weird model.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. It's we do a lot of we do a off-road trailer buyer's guide every year, and the amount of traffic that generates is people are just eating it up.
Yeah.
It's absolute thirst for information because it's new and it's exciting. And people have, we'll drive our trailers everywhere. I mean, on the way here, I had 3 people stop me at gas stations. Go, wow, look at that thing! Is that a tent on top?
That's cool. Yeah. Well, I don't know what it is. It's hot right now. That's for sure.
I think
there's, our society's more mobile than it's ever been in our history. So that's.
I also have a theory on that as well. I think we saw our parents buy big RVs.
Yeah.
And the X generation, we're the old farts of the X generation now.
Yeah.
And we're in our early 50s, and we're looking at life going, well, I'm not going to be a parent.
Right.
I'm cool. I'm from the X generation.
Right.
I used to snowboard, and, I'm cool, remember?
Yeah.
And I think there's an element of don't want to be my parents, don't want to be this big RV driving thing.
Big square box.
Don't want that at all. Yeah. But I'm so cool still, even though I'm rough around the edges, because I'm getting older, but I still want my toys.
Right.
And I think this really fulfills that.
And even some of the new, the Airstream's got a cool new trailer.
Amazing.
So some of those traditional,
amazing.
RV vendors are getting into the biz.
They are.
Yeah. And it's driven by technology and parts and things are getting lighter. Fuel is cheaper, So I think back in the 70s, everything was really big, and then the fuel thing hit and just died. Yeah. And then we really haven't seen a little bit of that, but not a lot. We've been able to remain pretty mobile our entire lives.
Well, the other thing I think is very interesting demographically from our audience is I when we first launched it, I thought it was going to be, we're going to be 45 to 60 years old. I thought that's what the core market would be, because a lot of it because of the cost of the equipment. Yeah. It isn't. The most traffic we drive is 35 to 42.
Really?
Yeah, so a good decade younger than I expected.
Yeah. Huh.
So we're seeing a whole millennial generation grabbing hold of what's going on here and really jumping into this.
Well, that's probably folks that, are climbers and backpackers, but got a job.
Have got a job.
So now they got a job. They got money. They still want to go outside, but they're working every day. They're not working out.
Yeah.
Can't climb 510 anymore, but I want to go near the rocks and camp.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Because I think the RV, I read something on LinkedIn the other day about the RV Association has seen a tremendous growth in younger folks buying trailers too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool. Any advice for folks wanting to get into that biz? Younger folks, career transition folks?
The way to get in is to take an entrepreneurial approach. I think it's a small industry at the moment that I'm not sure there's a lot of jobs for people.
Yeah.
But I do think if you have a great idea, grab yourself by the bootstraps and go for it, because you can do the crowdfunding thing. I see a lot of people being very successful with these types of ideas, accessory ideas.
I was going to say for just accessory pieces,
perfect for accessory
things. Yeah.
And jump in.
Yeah,
I really think that's important.
That makes total sense. And so, other than Overland Expo, where else do you guys show your products? What do people do?
That's a good question.
So there's no national trade show?
No national trade show.
Nothing for the trade. It's all consumer driven, consumer facing.
We talked about this the other night. Maybe I have an axe to grind here, but I would like to see outdoor retailer embrace this community and create a space, because I think it would be incredibly popular. Incredibly popular.
Yeah, I agree.
I would love to see that happen.
Yeah.
If it's curated well, I think it could drive a lot of traffic.
Right.
A lot.
That seems to be the other key too with this, the new trends, and not only out, Venture Out was a well curated section of OR. Well pulled off. Yeah. Congrats to Scott for doing that. Scott McGuire. But I think across, even across other consumer industries, you look at clothing these days and footwear these days, from Huckberry to fly fishing. I get this fly fishing email every day, and it's just tightly curated assortment of goods. Yeah, it's everything you need and nothing you don't, kind of thing. Yeah. So get rid of all the fluff and the noise, and don't mess up the consumer's mind. Let them focus on just what he needs to get started and get rolling.
One of the interesting things there's such a crossover into the outdoor gear world from what we do.
Exactly.
A good example is, Laurie is going on a 10-day trip with American Expedition Vehicles, July the 10th to the 18th, from Cortez to the Wyoming border, all off-road the entire way. And all the gear that they're using, you're going to go to REI or somewhere like that and you're going to buy. They're camping every single day.
Right.
And they're using breathable fabrics.
Yeah.
They're using puffy jackets,
fabrics.
waterproof.
Right.
They're using stoves. Yeah. Everything's
lightweight cook gear.
Absolutely, because they're all in Jeeps, and you can't hold a lot of gear, and you can't a lot of weight in a Jeep.
Right.
And they're all on discovery trails. It's not like they're not making new trails. It's existing trails.
Right.
But there's a massive crossover without realizing.
Huge.
It's,
I think
that's
the apparel alone.
Just the apparel.
Apparel and cook gear alone, you could walk outfitting yourself in any of your local outdoor store. Go outfit yourself.
You could,
whether you have a Jeep or a
absolutely
Kelty backpack.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And have any of the outdoor retailers embraced this activity? Have you seen that happen?
I'm beginning to see that. Yeah. I mean,
obviously REI's got the tent trailer. I've seen that.
And I begin to see. I've had lots of conversation with brands like Slumberjack and Kelty, who are definitely seeing it. Who I think they're forward thinking on this.
Yeah.
They see the connection, and they're trying to work out how they fit into that. I think Yakima is doing the same.
Obviously, they've been doing it. Yeah, they've been hauling stuff. How about a retailer like Adventure 16?
I haven't seen that happen.
Have you any thoughts on suggestions on how a retailer would go about, other than the obvious camping stuff and cooking stuff?
For me, the way to embrace it from a retailer's point of view is to if you started from the point, let's say A16 want to get into this market, the way to do it would be get into some liaison with a guiding service that does this sort of stuff, and start introducing your core market, and start showing videos, start showing content, whether that's social media content. And I don't think you need to jump in with both feet, because I think you frighten people that way. Right. But if you start, just on the peripheral side of what you do, and show that it's acceptable. That's why I say something like Outdoor Retailer needs to, you go there and all these brands are there. They're all dotted around the entire show, but there's no sense of the segment yet. And retailers would pick up on the segment if it was presented to them. In a second they would. It's four-wheel parts is on the other side of things. Four-wheel parts is, if you own a Jeep or you want to build up your four-wheel drive, a lot of people go to four-wheel parts. It's a national company. And they are now beginning to jump into this.
So they're selling all the ancillary stuff, stoves.
There's another company which is hardcore rock crawlers out. It's called Rebel Off-Road, and it would frighten the entire outdoor industry if you saw them. It frightens us. It's so much more built.
I'll put a link. You guys can check that out in the show notes.
But the owner approached us at an event we put on back in, when was it? It was in March. And he was very serious about, let's have a conversation about how we work together, because he's like, I've got an audience in Southern California that want to do this stuff. It's not all about, he's like, it's not just about rock crawling. There's so much more than that.
Well, like we talked about earlier, I bet half the people that shop at REI and A16 and places like that do this anyway.
They do. They're driving Tacomas, 4x4 Tacomas, they're driving Land Cruisers, they're driving Jeeps.
Yeah, you look in all the parking lots of all these brands that I've worked for and all these retail shops, and it's all the same vehicles.
It really is.
And we go exploring on dirt roads and camping. And
everything we did today.
Look how many people we saw today, too.
I mean, was it technical? No. But it was quote unquote off road. We were on dirt roads
at 11,000.
At 11,000 feet.
Could have got a flat. So, what other outdoor activities do you participate in?
Surfing, mountain biking. I used to climb a little bit, but then ruined my shoulder climbing, so that doesn't happen anymore. I never believed I'd be a hiker, and now I'm a hiker.
Why didn't you think you'd be a hiker?
Because when I was younger, I always used to trail run or mountain bike. I would see where I wanted to get to, and I was like, it's too slow. I can't hike. And now I do, and now I love hiking. I mean, I hike with Laurie. We're probably hiking at least 20 miles a week every week.
Wow,
so it's definitely part of our lives.
That's awesome.
But living in Southern California, we got access to
a lot of stuff.
I can paddleboard, I can surf, there's so much there.
That's cool. What's your best outdoor gear purchase under $100?
Oh, that's a good question. Gosh, I don't know if I know the answer to that.
It's a new question I've thrown in the last few weeks.
A good knife.
A good knife.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Yeah.
I'm not going to say what brand I use, but a good knife.
Yeah. That's good advice.
Yeah. It's absolutely carry a knife everywhere I go.
Any favorite books or books? Do you gift books at all?
Personally, I love anything historical.
Okay.
That's my thing.
Awesome. Like endurance.
I love historical stuff. Cool. Trail guide books.
Of course. Yeah, we all love those. We all have
use those tons.
Library full of.
And I what I find funny is that the world is becoming more. Everything's to do with technology, but I still carry paper maps.
I still have paper books. I mean, I just love the feel of reading a physical book before
I cannot read on a digital device.
I can a little bit, but not much.
It's not my style. I mean, I'm showing my age now. So.
Do you have any favorite, speaking of digital stuff, tools or apps or things like that you use regularly?
Most of the apps that I use are photography-based, to be honest.
Okay.
I do a lot of photography, really enjoy it. I wouldn't say I was an expert at it, but spend a lot of time doing it.
And how'd you get into photography?
Just, I've always been creative, always loved the creative process. And it just, when you're out in the environment in the backcountry, it was just, wow, this is so amazingly beautiful. And I just wanted to try and capture it. Share it. And then once, part of our world is so social media driven, so it's so much content driven all the time. Yeah. And as much as social media drives me insane, I really enjoy the creative element of it. Yeah. I absolutely.
You guys must have to create a lot of content, so you must be searching for video and images
all the time.
And things all the time. Yeah. How much of that is you generate yourself versus most of it?
Most of it ourselves, to be honest. Good. Yeah. I mean, we could get given a lot more. Yeah. I'm sure we could. But I just really enjoy it.
Yeah,
I love flying drones.
Cool.
I love doing video, and I love still. And tonight we'll do some Astra. Hopefully we can.
If these clouds go by. Yeah, I heard some raindrops earlier, so
that'd
be great. We saw a few stars last night.
Yeah.
Let's see. So most of your tools and apps are photography driven. What are some of your favorite photography apps?
Basic stuff like Sky Guide, so I can spot where the Milky Way is.
Yep. Photographer's
Ephemeris, those types of things. Yep. I try not to use too much technology, to be honest.
It's hard not to.
It is very hard not to.
Yeah.
A lot of the GPS stuff we do is a lot of apps with that. Yep. That's changing constantly.
And you guys probably have a lot of GPS on board as well as radios to communicate.
Yeah. I mean, I say I don't like technology, but I mean, we're inundated in our rigs with everything we've got is technology.
Exactly. But, anything else you want to tell the audience?
I suppose, go out there and just have a really good time. It's a lot of people look at the way our rigs are built and they think that they need to build their rig to the same level. You don't. Yeah. Stock vehicles are amazingly capable.
Yeah.
They're amazingly capable.
Yeah.
I mean, our rigs are probably overbuilt, frankly, for 90% of where we go.
Yeah.
The 10%, we absolutely need it.
Yeah.
We'll need our winch, we'll need our skid plates, we'll need those types of things.
Right.
But if you've got a good set of tires on you, we say the shovel, bring a shovel as well.
Yeah.
Those, you can get into the backcountry slowly.
Yeah.
I'm an advocate of you drive at 20 miles an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
And certainly one of the things that I truly believe in, that, I hope people appreciate this, is if you see a mountain biker coming in your direction or a hiker or something like that, stop.
Yeah.
Slow down. Do not kick up dust in their faces.
Yeah.
That will piss them all off.
Right.
That's what gives us a bad name.
And I think that's the cool thing about what you guys do and why people misconstrue it, because as you travel down 395 and you see the guys with their big toy haulers that go into Mojave, they got these four-wheel vehicles and motorcycles, and they're just tearing up the desert. And
yes,
you guys are not doing that.
We are not that at all.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You're slowly going down the dirt roads, and you're doing the same thing a hiker would do just from a vehicle.
We are. Yeah, and I really want to stress that. That's super important.
Yeah.
I love the environment. I love nature and respect for it as much as anybody else. Yeah. We are not trashing the planet. Yeah. We are just getting ourselves with a lot of gear to go camping in the backcountry.
Right. That's what we aggressive, do.
Yeah. It does look aggressive, but it isn't.
Yeah. And how can people find you?
It's the adventureportal.com. Cool. It's as simple as that.
Well, we'll put links to all that stuff in the show notes.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking the time to chat.
It's been fun.
And we'll do it again.
Yeah. And it didn't rain.
Not yet. All right.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks, Andy.
Bye-bye.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Andy Palmer. You can find him and all the cool things the Adventure Portal team is up to at www.theadventureportal.com. You can find links to all the info we discussed in the show notes at theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/episode 010. I appreciate the support and feedback, and until next time, thank you so much for listening. If you want more of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, you can subscribe on iTunes or go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com, where you can find all the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. You can find me on the interwebs at ricksaysphotography.com, on Twitter at rick_says, on Facebook at ricksaysphotos, and on Instagram at rsaysphotos. Thanks for listening and all the support, and a huge shout out to all my guests, and until next time, be sure and make time to get outside.